According to Tacitus, a Roman historian who lived approximately 56 to 117 AD, wrote that the Germanic people believed that the gods could be appeased through human sacrifice. And on a late winter day or early spring, he, which we will call Tollund man, eats his last meal, a porridge made of barley and a fatty fish alongside it. Not a typical meal due to how hard it is to catch a fish in the winter and early spring. But this was not an ordinary day. He was going to be sacrificed. Sand was mixed into the porridge as a ritual preparation, and after he ate, a rope made of 2 thin strips of leather was placed around his neck. The rope didn't break his neck. Instead, he suffocated, and after the struggle, he was cut down from the tree near a bog, rope still around his neck. Then, somebody closed his eyes and mouth and placed him in a sleeping position in the bog, leaving him in the acid-low oxygen environment that slows down the natural decomposition process, leaving behind an almost perfectly preserved body. Part 1. The discovery of Tollund man. On May 8, 1950, the police in Silkeborg, a small city in the middle of Denmark, got a disturbing call. 2 brothers and their family were cutting peat in the bog near the village of Tollund in Denmark when they stumbled upon an astonishing sight. A human body lay in the bog. They thought they had found a victim from a murder case, as the body appeared so intact, and called the police, not knowing that the human body had been perfectly preserved in the bog for over 2,000 years. It was later revealed that the body belonged to a man who lived during the early Iron Age, around 400 BC. The discovery of Tollund man was a groundbreaking event in the field of archaeology, and it sparked the curiosity and fascination of researcher and enthusiast alike. The Tollund man's facial features are still visible, including the wrinkles on his forehead and the hair on his head, making him seem almost lifelike. Part 2. The mysterious death of the Tollund man. The Tollund man's death was as intriguing as his discovery. He was found naked, with a noose tightly wrapped around his neck, indicating that he was hanged to death. The rope was made from animal hide, which suggests that it was used for ritual purposes, rather than as a method of execution. But why was he killed in such a way? Was he a criminal or a victim of religious sacrifice? These questions still remain unanswered, and the mystery surrounding the Tollund man only deepens. Tacitus' Germania is a valuable historical document that provides insight into the lives and customs of the ancient Germanic tribes. In the book, Tacitus describes the religious practice of the Germanic people, including their beliefs in various gods and their use of human sacrifice. However, it's worth noting that Tacitus' account of the Germanic people is based largely on hearsay and second-hand information, as he himself never traveled to Germania. Additionally, his portrayal of the Germanic tribes has been criticized for being overly romanticized and idealized. Nevertheless, Germania remains an important historical work that sheds light on the ancient Germanic world. So, if we look at Tacitus' work, Germania, is it possible that the Tollund man was a victim of such a sacrifice? This theory is supported by the fact that the Tollund man was hanged, which was a common method of human sacrifice among the Germanic people, and also the last meal he ate. The fact that he was carefully laid down in the bog in a sleeping position kind of confirms this theory. Another theory surrounding the Tollund man's death is that he was a criminal or an outcast who was executed as a punishment for his crimes. However, there is little evidence to support this theory due to the carefulness of the treatment of the body after the hanging. Part 3. The Grauballe Man. A small group is gathering near the edge of a bog, where the group has been cutting peat all summer. The group watches the priest pay the respects to the gods one last time before the offering, a human sacrifice, which is a small young man in his 30s. He is shivering in the cold morning, only wearing a thin cloak. The priest prays to the gods to accept the offering the people are about to give them. The man had eaten his last meal hours before this moment, a growl of weed seed, and his tooth pain was acting up again. But that is nothing for what's going to happen next. Somebody, without him knowing, steps forward and strips him off the cloak. Another man steps behind him, swings a wooden club, and breaks the young man's left leg. He stumbles to his knees, shouts out his pain, cursing everybody around him, before the priest grabs his hair and pulls his head back, exposing his throat. With a single slice with a sharp knife, the blood is flowing down his neck, silencing him, and minutes later, the man is dead. The people are watching in silence, seeing the blood mixing with the bog's water. Two men cover the body with turfs to stop it from floating. The priest says some prayers once more, together with the group, and afterward they leave the site, and the body in the bog wouldn't see daylight for another 2,300 years. Part 4. The Discovery of Grauballe Man. On the 26th of April 1952, a Saturday, Tage Busk Søresen was working on a bog in central Jutland in Denmark. This morning, he stood on his shovel, cutting the peat, when he suddenly hit something in the bog soil. When he removed the soil, he saw it. The shovel had hit a body right in the shoulder, and after some removal of more bog soil, the head of the man popped up from the peat mass. A postman passing by got a task to alert the local doctor and P.V. Globe, an archaeologist from Aarhus. They found the body of that man, what we today call the Grauballe Man. And like other bog bodies, the Grauballe Man had been preserved by the acidic, anaerobic conditions of the bog, which prevented his body from decomposing fully. Upon discovery, the Grauballe Man was estimated to be around 2,300 years old, dating back to the late Iron Age. Part 5. The Mysterious Death of Grauballe Man. Despite the wealth of information that has been gathering about Grauballe Man, there is still much to remain a mystery. He was found with a fractured skull, which probably happened after his death, probably by the pressure of the layers in the bog. He had been killed by having his throat cut, which was a common practice for human sacrifice in the Iron Age. Grauballe Man bears the unmistakable marks of having been violently killed before being placed in the bog. For these people, punishment, sacrifice, or a combination of these two seems to be the most likely explanation. The punishment theory relies heavily on the writing of the Roman author like Tacitus, who describes how cowards and vicious people are, quote, drowned in the mirror swamps, unquote. The treatment of many bog bodies, including the violence used to kill them and their nakedness, might support this interpretation. Another theory suggests that the Grauballe Man was a sacrifice to the goddess Nertus, who was worshipped by the ancient Germanic tribes. P.V. Globe argues that Tacitus is a problematic source when it comes to the lifestyle of the people in the northwestern Europe, as the sources of these people are often biased. Yet, even if we ignore the sources, many bog bodies share the same features that demonstrate that they were indeed sacrificial victims, deliberately killed and offered to the gods. But the big question we don't yet have an answer to is, why were some people selected to be violently killed or sacrificed and got placed in the bog instead of the normal burial sites? Why not cremated, as it was common back in the Iron Age? Why were these people chosen a brutal death as a sacrifice? Will we ever know? The sources for this video came largely from National Museum of Denmark, Mosegård Museum in Denmark, which has Grauballe man on display for people to see, and Museum Silkeborg, which has Tollund man on display for people to see. Other sources came from a book called Bog Bodies, Face to Face with the Past by Melanie Giles, and the rest of the sources you can find in the descriptions below.